Most people don't lose their voice when they speak, they lose it even before they open their mouth. Can you resonate? Let me take you there. Long ago, in a vast valley, ringed by towering mountains and wrapped in deep mist, stood a little girl wandered along, whistling to herself. The birds sang, and she was able to clearly hear the echoes. The mountains stood there like a silent guardians, the mist her only cover. Her thought came to her mind. What would it look like if she can hear her own voice through the valley? And then she decided to speak. She opened her mouth, then she froze. Suddenly, too many voices pushed forward all at once, fighting to be heard. All that she knew was she wasn't able to find what was truly hers. Before we go any further, let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever felt that way? Wanted to speak, but weren't sure you would be heard? Well, I grew up in a small hill town in the Nilgiris, in the modest family. We didn't have much money, but we had something that we treasured. It was love, laughter, and peace all day long. As a child, I genuinely believed I was the luckiest person in the whole wide world. I still vividly remember my father used to take me to garden every afternoon, feed me my food, make it into a game, and made me laugh until the plate was empty. And one day, everything changed suddenly. I waited for my father, waited for him to come home, but he never did. So that day, I learned that he left us forever, with him, our certainty. So society taught me rules that I never agreed, and suddenly the expectations that I never chose. So without anybody telling me, I learned the first rule of survival, which is to stay quiet. But I didn't stop dreaming. I stopped asking, I stopped wanting, I stopped needing because wanting felt dangerous in this society. So the first voice I silenced wasn't my confidence, it was my self worth. The little innocent girl who believed I matter, I can ask, I deserve. Later, school became my escape. I kept myself busy with sports, with arts, with academics. I thought if I stayed moving, I didn't have to feel everything at once. But I kind of remember this. One day, I was walking around the corridor, and suddenly I started to feel really good because I just aced my quarterly exams. But what happened next? I also faced bullying, like most of us do, right? I kept walking. I still remember from the corridor to the sports field, and two girls loudly commented something about my skin shade. I didn't turn around. I kept walking, but the grip tightened on the racket until I held my hand became white. That day, I fumed because discriminations were set very early in life. The world doesn't teach you how you should see the world yourself, but it also shapes the way that you see yourself. The beauty standards were set so early in life that the daughters of next generations are taught the same. Slowly, invisibly, I lost my second voice as well. This time, it was self esteem. It didn't disappear all at once, it faded away like the fog that crept in that valley. After a lot of struggles, I thought, okay, finally, I'm going to get decent grades and get a seat in a college and figure everything out. And exactly that happened. I entered the college. I can still feel almost when how it was when I got there. I was able to see new faces, new city, leaving the nest where I was from. Still excited, but scared somehow along the way. The corridor was already alive with music, and I was so happy. Wanted to be part of it. Every girls were running between each rooms like they have known each other for so long. Who didn't want to be part of it, right? So from there, I thought college is different until I was able to see some invisible lines that no one talked about. Yes, groups were formed among the familiar languages and shared backgrounds. People were judged even before they spoke. I understood then. This is just about making friends. It's also about being accepted. So I watched it all. I made a choice. I wanted to be part of it, so I forced myself to fit into that world. So I adjusted my tone, filtered my thoughts, laughed only when I felt I was expected. Because in a new city with new people, belonging felt safer than being real. So the last voice I lost was my authenticity due to the fear of missing out. And then came the corporate world. Ha, what can I say? I thought things are going to be different right now, right? Like the brain has a pattern, it keeps thinking the same. So now I went on. I still remember I stood in front of the mirror, standing and talking to myself, said to myself that, take a breath. It's going to be a fresh start. I adjusted my clothes. I'm all ready to set the world. Weeks passed. I was in meetings and I had good ideas, really good ones. Trust me when I say that, really good ones. But I didn't want to share. Suddenly, something in me started to scan the room. What was it? Okay, I started to see who was talking. Did I hear his idea? Did it land? Or whose didn't? So that's when I knew corporate had its own unspoken rules that no one talked about. Confidence was accepted if it wasn't disruptive. So you guessed it right. What I always did. I adapted. Fast forward few years later, one phone call shattered everything that I kept held inside for so long, and one meeting on a single day made sure I was only seeing the darkness. In my professional life, I saw the people who I thought would stay, leave, opening an own wound. In professional life, the promotion I thought I was much deserved was delayed once again. Both landed at once. The loss of someone I value, the denial of growth I thought I deserved. For that moment, everything was clouded. But for the very first time in life, I felt something. I started to trust the voice that I had never left. The quietest one of all, which was inside me. And that's when I began by trusting the anchors in my life. The people who held spaces without judgment, and the people who reminded me who I am when I forgot. And that's when I started to see myself again. From then on, I became very intentional about my circle, choosing who is making me grow, not small. And I wasn't pretending I was okay. I was seeking help. This was my first level of honesty that I felt inside. And then came small acts of courage. Of course, it didn't happen overnight. I had to break the patterns that I built in the brain for so long, right? So, first, I spoke with intention and not to please people. I asked myself before every word, is this true to myself? If it's yes, then I spoke. If it's a no, I stayed away. But when I spoke without shrinking, without apologizing for taking space. Second, I learned I had to pause before agreeing because I have to stop saying yes on reflex and give myself the gift of time. I discovered the delayed answer is mostly the honest one. And when I said no, it didn't make me unkind, it made me clear of who I am. So I choose to not say apology as well as without any guilt that drained me. Third, I acted with courage. My voices shook. I doubted myself, like, how am I doing it today? But then that's exactly when I knew I have to step in, I have to talk for myself, and that's exactly what I'm doing today, right? Slowly, I started to see the voices returning to myself. Self-worth now said, you matter. So I kept all my needs as valid. Self-esteem said, you're enough. So I stopped tying all my value to my performance. Why should one do it, right? Authenticity said, this is who you are. So I'm letting myself to be seen like I am doing today. First, when you make these choices, it isn't just going to be one moment. It's going to be a series of small choices that you have to choose in everyday life. But when you do that, something remarkable happens. You started to see not someone new. You started to see yourself. Now, written to me, let's go back to the valley filled with mist. The mountains, who's always been there, are still there, standing and supporting like they've always been. The girl was waiting, but this time she opens her mouth, raises her head really high, without any fear. She talks into the valley. This time, her echoes it is. Clear, steady, and unmistakable. Just one voice, one heart, one person. This time, it's Preethi. If there's one thing I wanted you to take from the story, it's this. Your voices, the real ones, are still there, waiting. The question is, will you unbind them? Thank you.